Hey, welcome. I'm Dr. Mike DeBoard, president of the B3 Sciences, and I'm excited to help you get started today on your new B3 bands. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to get the bands on, how to pump them up, and then we're going to talk about what kind of exercises you should do, and then I'm going to give you some tips. Let's start with your B3 bands case. As soon as you open it, you're going to see your safety and instructions card. This is the first thing you're going to review. And as always, before you begin an exercise program, make sure you check with your doctor. Next, you're going to see a little packet here. This is a packet of Vaseline. This is included for you to lubricate the tips on the bands. I'm going to talk more about that, but as soon as you open your case, break open this little packet of Vaseline and put a little bit on. That's going to make them get on easier. In your case, you have a pump, and you have 2 arm bands and 2 leg bands. So let's get started on putting the bands on. You can see I've already got them on. Now before I show you how to put it on, you can put it over your skin or you can put it over a shirt. I like it over a layer of clothing. You can do either one. I'm going to go ahead and take the band off here. And let's talk about getting the bands on. On the arm bands, the best way to put them on is put the Velcro strap through. So when you pull it open, undo the Velcro, feed it through the loop on the other side, and it's going to be easiest to get it on if you've got it through this loop, just like that. Now when you put it on, this valve needs to be pointing towards the midline. So when you slide it up your arm, make sure the white valve on the band is pointing inward. We're going to place it high up on the arm, and you can see what I'm doing here. I'm putting it in place, and then I'm tucking my arm down, and then I just reach over, and I put the Velcro down. Now, where do you want to place it? You want to be above the peak of your bicep. So just go ahead and flex your bicep. You want to be above that. There's a little gap here between your deltoid and your bicep. Slide it right there. Next, when you put it on, I want you to do what I call the tug test. First of all, it should not be constricting. You should not tighten it down like a tourniquet. It should be snug. How do you know it's snug? You see here what I'm doing? I'm sliding the band up and down my arm, and the skin is moving with it. Whether it's on my shirt or it's on my skin, you want it to have a good, snug grip on the skin, but it shouldn't be pinching. That's perfect. If you do this, you bend back and forth, and it's constricting, meaning it hurts, loosen it up. Next, let's get the pump out. And remember, put a little Vaseline right here on this tip, on this little black O-ring. It makes the pump go on much easier. Now, here's our pump. I'm going to hook up the valve right here to the end of the pump. Now, you should hear it snap on. So when you push it, listen for the snap. That means it's on. Next, you are going to pump up to the number that is listed on the bands. So get out your bands, look down here in the bottom right corner, and you will see the number listed on the bands. The bands I have on are a 200 band. You're going to start at that number. So I'm going to pump it up to 200, and then I just push the little metal clip in and pop it off. Now, make sure it's not hurting. You don't feel any tension or numbness. It should not feel like a tourniquet. You can see here, I can still move my arm nice and easy when I've got it pumped up to 200. I'm going to talk to you about pressure in a little bit. So this is how you get your bands on and start exercising. I'm going to go into the next part here and tell you what kind of protocol to follow, but let's talk about taking the band off. When you're done, push this little button right here on the end. The end of the tip of the valve is a little depressor button. Push that in a few times, you'll feel the air come out, and then just reach back here and slip it off. Once you're done with it, I encourage you to put the Velcro down in the down position to keep dirt from going on it, and then you're going to be ready to use your bands the next time. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to put the leg bands on. Pull your leg bands out of the case. Unhook the pull strap. Now remember, the number you're going to pump up to is down here in the bottom right corner. I've got the size 4 bands. I'm going to pump them up to 300. Okay? We're going to hook it Put it right around the upper part of our thigh. We're going to put the pull tab through. And in the back, I want it up a little bit higher. I want it right up under my buttock and high up in my groin. And then we're going to snug it down. Now look where the valve is. We don't want it here in the groin, and we don't want it out here where it can bump. We want it right in this position here, valve pointing in, okay? Next, tug test. When I slide it up and down, the skin moves with it, but it's not pinching. When I bend my leg up and down, it's not constricting. So this is the correct position where you're going to put the leg bands on and the correct tightness. Obviously, then I will hook up the pump. When we're done, just let the air out, unstrap it, take it off, put the Velcro back down, and then we are ready to use it for the next time. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is protocol for people who are beginners, intermediate, and advanced. What's a beginner? It's a beginner is somebody who has not been exercising, or it's been a long time since they exercised. You're going to see on the upcoming slides, beginners are only going to do 2 sets of each exercise just to a light burn. Next, intermediate. Intermediate means you're used to exercising. You may not be doing it regularly, but if you went out right now, you could go to the gym, or you could go for a bike ride or a jog, and you would be fine. Intermediate people, you're going to see on this slide coming up, you're going to do 3 sets. For example, 3 sets of biceps. First set will be light burn, second set medium burn, third set again will be a medium burn. Third group of people are people who are experienced. You are already exercising 4 or 5 days a week. If you went today and did a high intensity exercise session without the bands, you could tolerate it just fine. A 45-minute CrossFit. You could go into a class, or you could lift weights. If you're not in this group, stick to the beginner or their intermediate protocol. Advanced people, you're going to do 3 sets, okay? You're going to do typical repetitions, a little bit different. Look at the slide coming up, but what are you going to feel? You're going to feel a light to medium burn on the first set, meaning you're really going to go get the burn on the first set. Second set, you're going to kind of get a medium to hard burn. Third set, you're really going to push to what we call a hard burn or close to failure. So that's the 3 different types of groups. Now, you're going to see lots of exercise videos that we're going to send you. For example, 3-minute guns, 4-minute buns, upper body basic, lower body basic. We have all kinds of different exercise programs. The most important thing for you to remember is if you are a beginner, start light till you feel a light burn, and then you're done for that session. Intermediate, go to a medium burn. Advanced, go to a more of a hard burn. Our typical protocol is 30 repetitions. So if I'm going to do bicep curls or triceps or push-ups or shoulder presses, first set we're going to do 30 repetitions. This is very important. If you can't get at least 25 or 30 repetitions on the first set, it's too heavy. This is very important in the protocol of using the band. So first set, 25 to 30. You are only going to rest 20 to 30 seconds. Do not rest longer. You're going to allow the muscle to get all the oxygen back in, and it's like starting over. So rest maximum of 30 seconds, then go right into the second set. Rest 30 seconds, go into the second set. So if I was doing biceps, I would do 25 to 30. I would rest about 25 to 30 seconds, do my second set. Now in that second set, you may not be able to get 30, that's okay. It might only be 20. Why? Because you're really feeling the burn. After the second set, if you're beginner or intermediate, you're probably done. If you're intermediate to advanced, you can go for a third set. Third set, it's going to be really difficult. You're really going to feel the burn, and that's where you're going to produce all that growth hormone you may only get 10 or 15 reps on the third set when you go to that hard burn. So that's our protocol. Now, what if you're doing cardio, going for a walk, getting on the elliptical, going for a bike ride, swim, getting on your vibration plate, your rebounder? We call that continuous movement exercise. You should feel the burn within 30 seconds to 1 minute. So I'm going to get on the elliptical, and I should feel the burn in 30 seconds to 1 minute. If I've gone a minute into my walk, or my elliptical, or my bike, or my swim, or my jog, or any type of aerobic, then we need to do one of two things. If I'm not feeling the burn, we need to pick up the pace so I can increase the resistance on my elliptical, I can pick up the pace on my walk, or I can add more air. I can stop real quick, add 25 to 50 more pounds of pressure on the legs, and then I can keep going. When you do this continuous movement, you should feel the burn again within 1 minute, and then you will probably not be able to last past 5 minutes continually staying in the burn. This is how you get the most growth hormone. Now, if you're a beginner, once you feel the burn, only go about another 30 seconds to a minute. It's okay to only go 2 minutes the first day. If you're intermediate, once you feel the burn, go about another minute, minute and a half, kind of to a medium burn. If you're an advanced athlete or experienced, or have already been doing vigorous aerobic exercise, push yourself to go anywhere from another 2 to 4 minutes. But the key is to get in the burn and stay in the burn. That's where you get the most growth hormone. Now on these protocols, remember, if you feel any discomfort, you feel any pain, you feel any numbness or tingling or lightheaded, you are to immediately stop and then take the bands off. Now, again, these protocols, which you're seeing on the slides that Coach Easton has put up in front of you, you can see all of these in our different materials and literature. But hey, if you ever have any questions, make sure you reach back out to your coach at b3sciences.com, to ask questions. And we have a whole library of protocols for you to take your exercise or your sport or your weight loss or whatever you're wanting to achieve. You can take that to the next level with B3 bands. Hey, this is Dr. Mike. The final part of your first instructions video is some tips. Remember, the Vaseline packet. When you go to put the pump connector on the end of the band valve, it's going to be much easier if you put the Vaseline on the tips on both your leg and arm bands. I'd recommend you do that every 1 or 2 weeks. If you ever notice it gets hard to put it on, make sure you put the Vaseline on. Next, look at this little depressor button right here. There's this little metal clip. If it is stuck in the up position, it will not go on the valve. So you need to make sure, you heard the clip, that is in the down position. So when you go to put it on your armband or leg band, make sure you push that down and then it will slip right on. Next tip, when you are exercising, people always ask, what should I pump the bands up to? You always want to start at the number on the band. As you heard earlier in this instructions videos, once you start exercising, if you're into the first set, maybe the second set, or you're 1 minute to 2 minutes into your cardio aerobic, and you're not feeling the pump or the burn, you can increase the pressure. Simply hook it back up, and if you were at 200, let's go ahead and take it to 250. If you were at 300 on your legs, go ahead and take it to 350. Now it shouldn't hurt. So I just took that to 250, and my arm still moves freely through there. It's snug, but I can already tell that is slowing down the blood flow and the oxygen just a little bit more. Next tip, when you hook the pump back up, don't expect it to be at the same number. Here's why. I pump this up to 300, and then I unhook it. If you listen, a little bit of air comes out. And when I hook it back up, just a little bit of air comes out. I'm already back down to 200. So if you're putting the pump back on and checking it, realize every time you disconnect and reconnect, it's going to drop. I'm already back down to about 175 to 200. I started at about 300. It's not leaking, okay? If it is leaking and you hook it back up after 1 to 2 minutes, it will be down close to 0 or 50. That means it's leaking. And we have a very easy protocol for you. If you think your band's leaking, just take a band, pump it up to 400, disconnect it, and stick it underwater. They are waterproof. If it's leaking, you will see air bubbles coming out very fast out of the tip or by the clamp here or at a certain spot on the fabric. Now, if you do think it's leaking, make sure you contact us. We'll send you the video to diagnose it. Very few of these are leaking. Most people think when they reconnect it, or if they take it off and then reconnect it, it should be at the same pressure reading. It will always be lower, and that's okay. You're going to get an effective workout. Just remember the 2 important things you control. How tight do you put it on? Put it on the same each time. Number 2, how much air did you put in it? That's your starting setting. So if you are working out and you feel like you really didn't get the burn, next time you work out, put it on the same and have your starting pressure about 25 points higher. So if I worked out at 200, next time I can try 225. It's okay to go higher, but don't ever sacrifice comfort. There is no need to pump these armbands up to 500. No need at all. The most you should go is 250, 300, but always start at the recommended pressures before you increase. Now again, as I said in the earlier video, if you're exercising and you feel a little discomfort, you got 2 options. Let's say I'm exercising and it feels a little bit too tight. I can just touch the button here and give it a quick push. That probably let out about 50 pounds of pressure and I can keep going. If you feel pain or numbness or tingling or lightheaded or dizzy, you are to immediately stop and take the bands off, and you can contact us and let us know what you were experiencing. And finally, a couple more tips. I encourage you to keep the Velcro down on your bands. It'll last longer. These are waterproof and washable, so you can wash them in some light soapy water in the sink. You can even put them on the delicate cycle on your washer. Just don't ever put them in the dryer. And yes, you can take them into the water. So that's our tips section of the band. So we went over how to get them on. Review the safety and instructions card. Always check with your doctor before you begin an exercise program. We went over the protocols and how you reach out to us, coach at b3sciences.com, and I gave you some tips. You are ready to get started on your first B3 Bands workout. I wish you great success, and I know if you use these 3 or 4 days a week or like me every day, you are going to absolutely love your results. And again, if you have any questions about how to use the bands, simply reach out to us at coach@b3sciences.com. You get lifetime coaching with your B3 Bands.